Hi everyone, I hope you are keeping well. And I have started the process of sharing my message of how I've evolved from the Girl Against Fluoride, and I've been doing some posts over on the Girl Against Fluoride Facebook page. And somebody messaged me earlier and they were talking about how, it can be difficult when you see the problems. And when I started off back in 2011, really it was a journey of awakening to my own self. I started a healing journey, and in that process obviously I learned about water and water purity, and the nutritionist that I was working with at the time said that I should actually do something about the fluoride in the water. Obviously she recommended that I get a filter and all that, but I felt very inspired to learn about it, and it kind of started this journey that I've been on now for the past 7-8 years. And really it has shown me that the water fluoridation issue is something that's there. And I think that when you become so aware of everything and then you look around, maybe your friends and family, people in your community don't necessarily listen to you, and they kind of think that you're they might just think that you're a bit mad, to be honest, because anything that's outside of the known is labelled as mad or crazy until it becomes the known through collective consensus. So back in 2014, I reached a really, burnt out period. Hi Trisha, thanks so much for joining. So I burnt out in 2014 after doing the campaign for 3 years, solid, full-time and very intensely. And my mom and I obviously were working hand in hand together. My mom was a school teacher in Mercy Mount Hawk Secondary School, and she was running the campaign with her 4th years as a project. And it was just all consuming, because when you start to go down the rabbit hole, say with fluoride, it kind of brings you into all these other things that are happening with the environment, with pesticides being put onto food. You learn about all the different issues that are happening. There's multiple issues that are happening that are not really for us. They are against us and our health. But that brought me on exactly the right journey that I was meant to have. And I think for everyone, it's like you can get stuck at different stages of your journey of awakening. And you might think that people who are unaware or don't want to listen, it's like, sometimes you're talking to somebody and it's like, they're not open. And really what it is that like everybody is at different levels of consciousness, and everyone has their own personal journey when they come onto earth. And if you sometimes try and impose your opinion on somebody, or you try and bring them along to your way of thinking, it doesn't serve you and it doesn't serve them. It causes a lot of friction, and it actually drains your actual energy. And I've learned this the hard way, because I used to just be like shouting at people practically about fluoride, and that was like, that initial energy is really helpful, like that kind of anger and that kind of powerful fire, but then that can actually burn you out. So it's like, it's knowing that you move through things in stages. And if you wake up every day and you think the world is shit and there's all these problems, well, nothing's going to change. Because it's like, if you wake up every day and you kind of say, I'm shit, my life is shit, everything is just ridiculous, why should I even bother, because all these things are a problem. Well, then you're just going to cut off your power. You're going to cut off all of your creativity. All of your ability to feel good is going to be deprived from you. You're actually going to create a self-created prison. And that's actually in the guise of, oh, I'm aware. But actually your awareness of problems and your over-focusing on them doesn't actually help, because wherever your energy goes, wherever your attention goes, energy goes. So if you overly focus on a problem, you'll just amplify it. So yourself, if you have a personal problem going on and you keep going on about it obsessively, well, you just keep driving yourself absolutely insane, and you don't actually create a solution. So it's like, if we think about the whole reality that we're seeing out there in the world, and we think that we're all part of the same picture, but actually we're all very much experiencing our own reality. And the problem is that we think that we're waiting for the change to come from the outside. We're waiting for the answers to come from the outside, but actually the outside world is created by our belief systems. So our belief systems are creating the out picture of our reality, which is why we're programmed from a very young age we're conditioned by our society. We're told, believe in this, believe in this, believe in this. This is how the world works. You're listening to the radio, you're listening to news, you're listening to certain information that's keeping you at that level of frequency. And so as you start this process, and I know a lot of people who are on this video are on this journey of awakening and rising your own consciousness and seeing the problems, because they're the catalyst. Because let's face it, as humans, we kind of are lazy and we don't really react until we actually have a problem. So it's not until we actually see there's a problem that we kind of go, okay, now I've got to react and I've got to do something about it. But now, I mean, it's so many years down the line for me, and I'm kind of at the stage where I don't tolerate that anymore, because it actually doesn't work. I've tried it so many times, and the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It doesn't work that way. And, you know, every person responds to your frequency. So if you're coming at people who are already enmeshed in the problem-filled society that we have, and you're delivering further heaviness and a lower energy for them, you're just going to pull them down and make them depressed. So they're going to want to push you away from them, and they're going to reject what you're saying. So it's like, that's why I've changed all of my whole approach, which you've probably seen over the past few years, which is not to overly focus on the problem, but not to be ignorant of the problem either. I'm not advocating to be like in like Walter Mitty land. Oh, everything's fine, the water's fine, the food is fine, just eat whatever. It's actually about being able to become a master. And as I said in a post earlier on the Girl Against Fluoride, fluoride is one of the things, but fluoride, we'll just take this as an example, is an invitation for us to change, because we're at a stage where we're being called to mature into our own self-maturity, our own spiritual maturity, and actually come home to our own ability to govern ourselves, because the change will not come from the outside. The change will not come from the government. The change will not come from you harassing politicians. Let me tell you, I've done all that. I've done that for years. Me and all my team that were working on the campaign, we knew that we were doing the same thing over and over again, and we were just getting so despondent, and it just doesn't work. So what you do is you see that there's a load of problems going on, and we're just taking fluoride here for this example. But what you do is, okay, here is the thing that's going on, and then you create a higher vision. So it's like if you're looking beyond the current reality into what can be. So you create your vision, and then you actually go, okay, so here I am in this reality, but I actually have to focus my attention on the higher vision, and then I have to act from that place. I have to embody the future in the present. And that might sound like, oh, that's a lot of work, but actually it's the only thing that works, and it's the only thing that is going to change things. And people are becoming more tuned into things, and one of the main reasons that things are going on, like adding chemicals to the water, say, for example, is because we have become so separate from our environment, so separate within ourselves, so separate to each other. And this has all been part of our evolution, so it hasn't been a mistake. It has been part of us becoming individualized, so that we're not all part of a tribe, that we all try to be the same. It's about us becoming individuals, and now we are ready to reconnect with each other in a community of unity and diversity. We're not going to be the same, because sameness leads to stagnation, and that stops our growth, and that invites catastrophic change to come into the planet to actually make us grow, because the only thing that's guaranteed is evolution. So whether you want to evolve with it and you want to actually go with that invitation to evolve, the choice is yours, and you can stay in that really heavy pit of just things are a problem, this is my life, can't do anything about it, or you can actually decide to become empowered, and that empowerment is very, very powerful, and it starts off a whole different trajectory and a whole different momentum, and that's what I'm passionate to do and to teach others, for people who are drawn to become their own leader and their own voice, really, because that's the thing that we start off, we think that change is that we look for is going to come from the outside. and you're looking at yourself and you're looking at a hall of mirrors, and you point to the mirrors, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, but actually you're the person pointing. So really what it is, it's about us realizing how we can create change and create reality through our own selves. And that's not going to be an overnight process. That's not like, oh, I found the answer to the universe and now the magic wand, everything's going to be perfect tomorrow. It's actually, it's a journey. It's actually you leaving the confines of the known and going on a journey into the unknown, and you discovering your own self in that process and evolving your own self. And as a result, really starting to emanate your frequency out into your community, and your life is the message. So whatever you want to see, what can you do? Like, what small things can you do to embody that? So it's like with me, I have the water filter in my own house, and people come to my house, all my family know that I drink filtered water and that I filter out the fluoride. My cousins know it, all the young kids, you know, there's a load of them in my family, and they all know it and they talk about it. And that took like 5 or 6 years to even get to that point where they'd actually like engage in me. And, you know, because me pushing it upon them was me imposing my will upon them, and it doesn't work. It's like if you come into a sitting room and you try and push an idea on somebody, it doesn't work. Like, you don't influence people that way. So I've spent the past few years learning about the psychology of change, metaphysics, how to create a movement, leadership skills, all these things I've been training in, and now I'm ready to share that with people who are ready to go on that journey with me. So I'd love to hear what comes up for you from this video. Please share any of your insights in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.